Welcome to Poets Out Loud meets Speakeasy Online. It's August 2021, and we're meeting on Zoom. But is it going to be the last time we meet on Zoom for Poets Out Loud? We'll wait and see. Yeah, well, speaking of that, we may have some news on that. Roz, did you want to tell us? Because Annie Kendall, who founded Poets Out Loud, has taken a bit of a back step uh, and is happy for it to continue. Yeah. And she hadn't contacted Wild Zucchini's cafe, but Roz, you kindly
I
did.
just popped in and asked if I could speak to Manon, but she didn't want to speak to me. Anyway, she pretended she was busy, and I left my name, and I got text back saying that she didn't want to do any more out of hours things, which means sort of after 5:30 and evenings, and also she was going to be closing at the end of the year. So I think that was no. I haven't found anywhere else yet, but I will. Well, I will. I mean, I will look, but I can't promise because it's difficult to find somewhere with a room that they're willing to let you have without other people in there at the same time. Which, if you're in a pub or something, you're always going to have other people. I wouldn't really like to stand up there, sort of reading poetry, and there's a few drunks in the corner. Anyway, so that wasn't a very successful start to my looking for somewhere to go.
Well, thank you very much, Roz. At least it's cleared up a few questions that we were wondering about whether or not we'd be able to go back to Wild Zucchinis. But in a post-pandemic world, it doesn't sound like that's going to be a venue we can use anymore. But if anybody has any suggestions or thoughts about places in Cockermouth or the Cockermouth area, let us know. Give me a shout or chat to Roz or get in touch somehow. And we'll try and work something out for meeting in real life. Until then, I'm happy to keep doing these Zoom sessions.
You could choose any pub and change the format slightly so that we shout at one another across the room and shout out prose and poetry. And if it doesn't clear the pub, it'll certainly start a fight or two. It'll be like a situationist Zoom thing in real life. That's my advice to you, Phil.
That's your contribution. Cool.
That's my contribution.
Well, we've already established on I think it was last year on one of these that we established that poets are a bad influence. So that would fit with the mindset. So yeah. Have a little think. If anybody has any thoughts, please let us know. Okay. I was being asked before about the Poetry Symposium event, which is happening at Telly House on the 21st of August, and the doors open at 10 a.m. and the event should kick off about 11 a.m. and it should finish round about 3:30. I think they close at 4, so I think Andy Hopkins, who's organising it, is hopeful that we can finish about 3, 3:30, and yeah, there's a series of guest poets are booked, but there's also slots for open mic, and there'll be the bookstall for people to purchase pamphlets and poetry books and bits and pieces. So yeah, that's at Telly House on Saturday the 21st of August. And then also, Francesca posted on Facebook yesterday. They've got a collection of Nick Pemberton's poetry together, and they're doing a book launch for it on the 3rd of September at the Old Fire Station in Carlisle at 6 p.m. on, as I say, the 3rd of September. If anybody's interested in going along to that, let her know or let me know, and I'll pass it on to her. They've got to keep an eye on the numbers so they can sort that out. You're dancing at a memorial on the Poetry Symposium Day, Susan. All right, that's all right. No worries. It's good. Is that clog dancing? Because that's good to have the clog dancing back.
Yes. Yes, it's one of our clog dancing side died earlier this year, which is very sad. Yeah, and obviously we couldn't be at the funeral, So they're having a memorial for her, and we were asked if we would like to go and dance there. Her favourite dances, which I think is nice. So.
Oh, that's lovely. Hope it goes well, and
yeah.
And it's not too all emotional for everybody, because it, it probably will be. These things always are, aren't they? But
I imagine it will be quite emotional. Yes.
Yeah. Oh well. Hope it goes well.
Phil, can I just mention the Borderline Poetry Competition is open at the moment. I'm helping to organise.
What's the theme?
I can't. It's in. I've just put the link in chat. I think it's just reminding myself here. It's connections. That's right. Connections is a general theme word. So if you fancy sticking an entry or two into that, then feel free to have a look at that. I think the closing date is some little way off still, and there's a nice first prize of £250.
Oh, cool.
And some runners-up stuff as well. So if you fancy that, I'm just putting that there.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I know some of the I think some of the Speakeasy poets or friends of Speakeasy have done rather well in that competition in previous years. So yeah, it's a good opportunity. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. All right. I think that's all the notices, but I may have missed something. Yeah, this is a piece inspired by the search for another venues. It's called a Home for Poets, and goes like this. A home for poets, a venue sought by poets, with a welcoming nature, somewhere to tell stories, a refuge to share your notions. Sail with us on a voyage over an ocean of imagination. Do you know the secret knock? Do you say the password? An open door, a friendly face saying, "Come on in." We few, a band viewed with suspicion. Are you here for the poetry? That's right. You're in the annex, down the corridor, sort of banished to the outbuilding or the cellar. This is all wrong. Poets should be centre stage. We're a regular flash mob, 21st century strolling players. Let us regale you with our tales, stories in rhyme, song, or free verse, setting thoughts and ideas loose on an unsuspecting room. We bring the magic and the silliness, set the worlds to rights, and then eat cake. Always a good night out, of us sharing thoughts, a home for poets, somewhere specials sought. There you are. Hopefully we'll find somewhere. Okay, thank you very much. Val, you're up next. What have you got for us?
Hello. I missed the last Speakeasy, but I did watch it on YouTube afterwards. And there was a bit of a challenge to write something with alliteration. So I've sort of come up with this. It's called The Price of Progress. Is this the price of progress? Cars cluttering up carriageways, motorway madness and mayhem, ambulances attending accidents. Is this the price of progress? Products in plastic packaging, people polluting pretty places, loads of litter lazily left. Is this the price of progress? Climate and carbon concerns, excessive energy emissions, nuclear waste nobody wants. Is this the price of progress? Wild, wet, windy weather, horrendously hot heat waves, floods and fires for the future. This is the price of progress.
Excellent stuff there, Val. I think the challenge was met. Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, Kevin, what have you got for us?
It's called Retired. Is my can you hear me all right?
Loud and clear,
Yeah.
loud and clear, yeah.
Okay. Eric woke in a panic. Late, late, late. But it wasn't true. Never once late in 30 years. Afternoon, stroll in the park. Lovely day. Clock struck. Panic. Take it easy. How? Long shadow of a train. Moving slowly to the sidings. A signal, a moaning whistle. Never once late in 30 years. The factory gate, now locked, chained and abandoned, weeds and rusty metal. Time to go home, watch TV, never missed a day. Past the hospital, known so well. Endless visits, nearest and dearest, friends and neighbours. Home and silence. Beans on toast, tea and biscuits. News at 10, bed. Night sweats, early start, still dark. Never late, never missed a day. No alarm, nothing real, just a thought. Breaking day. Gates are locked. Clock strikes. Never late, never missed a day. That's it.
Yeah, that was really good, Kevin.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Jeanette,
Hello.
hello.
I've got one here called Coming of Age. And I've tried playing about with those sync-ins, so it's like two of those put together. Ragdoll, Ragdoll, homemade, handmade. A book of nursery rhymes, dog-eared and faded. Building blocks, paint chipped. One bear, well loved. Tin cars, bent jigsaws, a train set. Tissue papered in the toy box, lid closed. And that's. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. Lovely. Hello, Finola, you've joined us. Good to see you. If you're up for reading something, we'll put you after Susan towards the end. Is that all right?
Well, that's lovely. That'll give me time to look for something. Thank you.
Cool, cool. Okay. Craig, have you got something for us?
Yes. Excuse me. This one's called All Welcome In. Attracted by the red neon glow from a former industrial unit on the edge of town, all welcome in, and in they go, tentatively. Don't be shy, says the bouncer. Fill your boots and come on down. The vestigial stench of abattoir that makes the casual visitor leave, and visions of teams running amok in the torturous ruins has merely piqued their interest, not made them heave. There's safety in numbers amidst the dilapidation, like maggots hatching on decaying flesh. Paedophiles, reviled across the nation, emerge from dark hiding places, found fresh, gadflies stretching their wings for their public premiere, and to like-minded souls, sordid stories sickly share. A semi-clad waiter sporting sequined waders removes the reserved sign from an empty table by a bunch of underage would-be space invaders given a whiff of the apron of barmaid Mabel. The existentialists have no-showed for 2 weeks in a row. The fars, right and left, hog the middle ground. A mosh pit of sorts where the carpet sticks like Velcro and their jackboots to syncopated bass lines of 70s discos pound. The Liberals have resorted to observing from the fringes, occasionally self-administering their placebo syringes and snorting white lines of hopeless causes that help to allay their latest neuroses. There's both legal and illegal smoking rooms. They've covered all their bases. Some wear day glow to make a statement or lighten the gloom, whereas most wear masks simply to hide their faces. Achieving a purpose that was never intended, a brave experiment for which the government themselves commended, welcoming to all the despised and hated, a pub with no passport needed for the unvaccinated. That's that one.
Yeah, good. There's a kind of visceral quality to it. Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that, Craig. Roz, follow that if you can.
I think I have to say that was revolting, Craig, in the nicest possible way. Whoops, I can't find my poem. Right, I'm going to do a little shortish one. It's just a chance remark someone made, or a remark they made, and I just thought of this. The human necessity for sleep appears to be a fault in our design, since we spend 1/3 of our lives unconscious, unable to function, unaware of our surroundings or events, until some small intrusion, an alarming sound, sparks fanciful musings and confused ideas as we awaken. Terrifying images and situations beyond our control fill the dreamlike state we call our daily lives, where we spend the remaining 2/3 of our lives wishing we could return to the safety of sleep. Oops, that was that one, sorry.
That's good. Sleep's very important. Yeah, it's like that. It gives like the brain a chance to sort of reboot, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, George, what have you got for us?
Thanks. Yeah, I was just thinking, I haven't been able to wake up all day today because I've not been sleeping well. So that's very appropriate, Rose. Monday was the 76th anniversary of the bombing of the nuclear bomb at Nagasaki. And Scottish CND had an evening where they had readings for this. So this was, I don't know if you can see you were pleased to read at such an event. I was honoured to read at such an event. So this is the poem, Nuclear Warning. My great uncle barely knew nuclear war. He died before the Cuban crisis. I see him teach me cards, how to link numbers. I see him smile. We never discussed how to frazzle 1 million people. We never wondered if the bomb had secured Western democracy. He laughed and lifted me. He gave me love. Tomorrow, when the bomb lands, unscrew the kitchen door, lay it over the table. We have 4 minutes to create a shelter. Kiss your sister goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. It's always a powerful subject matter. So yeah, that was a powerful piece. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Tom, hello.
Hello. So this is a poem about my father who died in June last year. And today he had a house and it finally was sold after a long and protracted and slightly tortuous set of months trying to sort that out. So I just thought today was a good time to read a poem about my dad. And it's called Dad's Back. We approach each other a bit awkwardly. Your shower now over, you've asked for my help to dress you. You, naked, warm and clean, still damp in parts you can't reach. Me, holding your towel, too taut for love. You turn to offer me your back. Your back, once so strong, hoiking rucksacks stacked with oars, fishing rods and inflatable dinghies up twisting Welsh cliff paths. Changed. Now, weak, white, a battlefield of moles, dots, lumps, dips, spots and crevasses, curved and stooped, bent and needy. Me, with your towel dabbing gently, trying not to disturb the landscape of memories mapped across your back. How did it feel for you? Did you feel love and gentleness? Did you feel care and softness? Did you feel anything at all? Me, I felt something. Responsibility, duty, guilt. I felt I wanted to feel. What did I want to feel? A few moments, a few more dabs, you're dry. Moles, dots, lumps, dips, spots and crevasses, dried and ready for your clothes. Your back was all yours again. All done. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Tom. That's a lovely tribute. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Okay, Mark, what have you got for us?
Here, keeping on I guess a family theme on from Tom's poem, and it just occurred to me, Ross, when you were writing about sleeping. I just wondered what sort of dreams you have, because they couldn't compete with the reality of you and your experiences. Maybe everything makes sense in your unconscious mind. That's met in a lovely way. This is I've been this was written, where are we, Sunday, and I've been writing. I've been increasingly writing small sketches or vignettes. It reminds me a little bit of when I was much younger and went to studied art after working and traveling a bit, and was going to go and do study film, which I sort of did, but not exclusively. And I had this. I've always had ideas for vignettes from different parts of my life and experience, but I never did it in film. And I seem to be doing it now in prose. And this is something that happened on Sunday. It's called The Visit. She stood there, leaning on the door frame, the front room dark behind her long blue dress. Her skin looked good, a little glow there, of course, now I think of it, after the event. I made drinks for them. We made small talk, light reports and familiars, family jokes and references. After a while, she reached into her bag. Here's the present I said I had for you. Ah, I'd forgotten. It was all a bit cryptic. She passed me a small card. I looked at the front. It was something medical related. I opened the gatefold cover. Inside was a dark photograph, and it took me a few moments to register what it was I had in my hand. A picture of a black mass curling into itself like a swirl of melted tar on the hot road. I traced a limb, maybe an arm, and a hand, and a head. Ah, my voice cracked. Oh, my love, I reached out to her and drew us together, holding her tight for a long time. My love, my beautiful girl. The air seemed different as we parted slightly, my arm still around her shoulder, like the world had stepped on a little, as if negotiating a nick in the pavement. It was not an unfamiliar feeling, experienced a few times before in my life at moments of great significance. I looked at my daughter, then her partner, my own partner. I took in the light of this eternal sketch, then held my little girl again. A curious feeling overcame me, part deep satisfaction, part an urge to laugh out loud, though with tears filling my eyes. Also, something perhaps sad and connected to the inevitable turning of time, and to an ancient passenger that rides on its shoulder. Later, the warm breeze lulled its way across the yard, not sure of what direction to take, as I waved them off on their journey home.
That was really lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that moment. That was great. Okay, Susan, have you got something for us?
Yeah, it's not great, but it's the only thing I've written in the last year.
It will be.
Well, it was an exercise in the writers group about, and one of the start line was from the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, so you will recognise it. Okay then, and we had to kind of just go with it. So let us, excuse me, let us go then, you and I, and wander up to fountains high where we can plunge in pools of ice, skyward gaze, the hills entice, and dream of freedom, dreams come true, as ventures beckon for me and you. And days are seized and plans bear fruit. Should we dare, we give no hoot. We cannot measure time that's left by cups of coffee, friends bereft. We roll our trousers, eat that peach, for nothing together is out of reach. It's a bit corny.
That's really good.
But can we remind everybody about the Diverse Cumbria Awards? Yay.
Please do.
Well, I don't know, we might have mentioned it, I don't know, but, well, I haven't because I haven't been available, but Mine Trees of the Urban Forest got shortlisted for Diverse Cumbria Awards. Yay. So that was a collective thing, people were involved in it, you guys are all involved in it. Well, some of you were, it was 2 years ago. So yeah, that's fabulous. So I don't know, I gave an interview that rambled on for about 6 minutes and the guy only needed 2 minutes. So hopefully he's managed to splice it so I make sense. Yeah, fingers crossed, everyone.
Cool. So that
It's not just, the glory isn't mine. The glory is a collective glory for all of those who are involved in it. So I'm fingers crossing for everyone who is involved in it. It's not just me.
You curated it and took the lead on it and made it what it was. So
yeah, but if people hadn't donated time and words and pictures, it would have just been me standing in a room. So that wouldn't have been particularly great. So, you know, it was a collection.
It was a collective effort, yeah. So the awards are in September, aren't they? So we'll find out in September, at the end of September.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent stuff. Mine Trees of the Urban Forest. We've only got less than a minute to go, so I'll push the magic button if we all sign back in, and then we've got Finola, and then we'll go around again. You're back in the room first, George.
Yeah, it's a competition, of course. Love the poem, Tom. Sorry, I don't think we've spoken before, but I'm very impressed with that.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much.
You know what I mean? That sounded so pretentious when I said it. I love the poem. Just leave it.
It was quite beautiful. really lovely. And just, it hit the spot, you know. It said so much without saying it all. It's just lovely.
Thank you.
Really
That's
good.
kind of you to
Yeah.
say that. Thank you.
Yeah.
George, I think we have met somewhere before. Maybe on a poetry Zoomy thing, or maybe before the pandemic at something.
We
Pretty sure.
probably have. We probably have, Tom. So apologies if I
No,
don't.
it's quite all right.
But you know how you. But often it's there's people that you meet in passing. It's the wonderful world of poetry. And then the other thing is, I don't know, but you always feel that other poets, you feel as though you've known them forever. There's some sort of immediate bond. I find that you suddenly feel as though you've got something in common.
Phil, just while people are still joining,
Yep.
why the Cockermouth area, which is great for me because I'm living in Cockermouth at the moment. But why the Cockermouth area for a place to meet?
That's where Poets Out Loud has been based the last number of years. Annie Kendall started it. Was it the Kingfisher pub? And then it moved to the Kirkgate Arts Centre, and then ended up in Wild Zucchinis.
Okay.
And it's just there's a few of us from.
It had two
SpeakEasy.
pub venues.
Yeah.
3 possibly, because it started off for the festival, and it was it the Fletcher Christian, I think. It was the one where you weren't there that year.
Yeah, I can't tell you.
Well, one of the ones on the front street, it's one of the pubs on the front street. It started off there in the festival. Then it was in that really tiny back room pub. And then it went into the bigger pub just as you come into Cockermouth. And then it went into the Kirkgate and then Thingamajig, Wild Zucchinis.
Okay. I'll have a look around.
The history of Poets Out Loud. There you go.
I was saying there's a little group of us, a cohort tried to come through from Carlisle to join in, and we sort of built up this rapport with Poets Out Loud and SpeakEasy. So we tried to coax you guys through to Carlisle, and we go out to Cockermouth, and we've helped each other out on projects, and we did an event for the Cockermouth Live Festival at Wordsworth House a couple of years ago, which was really good, wasn't it? Yeah. We've got Finola. Have you found a piece for us?
Yes, I have. I'm going to do what George did and read a poem for Nagasaki. George won't big himself up, but he was actually chosen and invited to read at that event from a lot of poets who have poems on the theme, right? And I know that he's terrible. He just says, oh, it was an honor to read there. It was, and he did a lovely job, but he was actually selected. So while we're at it, okay? And I also have a poem, very locally based. Here be dragons, armed with binoculars and whiskey, visitors scour the highlands. Glens and heather moors tempt with tales, though it's the locks that draw. Tourists scan for movement below waves, yearn to be scared. But guidebooks don't spill truth about the Clyde. Here in glacial waters, creatures are hunkered. Chain link fences march miles to defend the monsters hidden that flash terror, threaten to shift our shapes. These secret shoals slink the depths, time bomb ticking, all summer bright, winter dark, in spite of opposition, in spite of parliament, in spite. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you very much. Okay. I was going to say, I forgot to say at the start, because Susan had a line in her poem about eat that peach. And Eat the Peach is the name of Nick Pemberton's collection of poems that Francesca and Nick's family have put together. again.
Well, it was like it was all linked in the ether, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's like we plan these things.
We don't.
Obviously not. Oh yeah, that was really good. Really good first go round. Great stuff. Okay, this one's called "The Words Demand to Be Written." Staring at a blank page, then suddenly you start to type. Words follow words, and suddenly you have structure. Sentences are forming. Where do the words come from? You wonder, but do not question. They appear, and tumble and cascade like rain and leaves in autumn, like snowflakes. A blizzard of ideas thwack onto the page. Where's this stuff coming from? One section forms, brain space reboots. Another element falls into place, and some more. You want to stop, but your fingertips keep typing. The words demand to be written. Your vision is blurry, but despite going cross-eyed, you keep hammering on the keys. Writers, please. I've got to go rest, you plead. No, no, you must go on. This is what we've been waiting for. You have conjured us, and now you must write and give us life. In the wee hours of the morning, the words are finally tired out, and reluctantly let you sneak off to bed. But you know that they'll be waiting for you. Tomorrow, they'll fill your head. Sometimes you wonder, do you write them, or do they write you? There you go. Thank you very much. Val, do you have another one for us?
Yes, I do.
Cool.
I'm kind of was thinking about this alphabet and using letters thing, and I've sort of come up with my own alphabet challenge. So what I wanted to do was like write a poem, and every word is like the letter of the alphabet, like A, B, C through to Z. So this is what I came up with. It's called Freedom Day, the so-called Freedom Day when the COVID restrictions end. I've cheated slightly on X because I wanted to get an X sound, not a Z sound. So anyway, this is how it goes. After boring COVID days, everyone's feeling good. Happy and just keeping life moving normally on. People quietly reappearing, starting to understand vaccination will exterminate yesterday's zombification.
That was brilliant.
So do you think of anything better? I'd be interested to hear.
That's very clever.
You read it again. It was over like that. I thought it was going to be like a longer piece. Did you read it again?
What, say it again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. After boring COVID days, everyone's feeling good. Happy and just keeping life moving normally on. People quietly reappearing, starting to understand vaccination will exterminate yesterday's zombification.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. I love that. Thank you very much for sharing that. Magic.
A brilliant composition there.
Absolutely. A classic. Wow. Kevin, are you there, Kevin? Have you got another one, Kevin?
Yeah, I haven't got anything.
Oh no, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, I had trouble signing in actually.
Oh right. Well, you're here now. It's great to see you.
Right.
Cool. All right. We'll move on to Jeanette and see if you've got another.
Yeah, it's called Here We Begin. It was just as I was going into the co-op, I heard a little bit of a conversation and my imagination went away with itself. I'd want to know if it was me. She bent over backwards to tell him in the co-op doorway. Well, I've heard wanted yet unwanted words, a sentence, a blotched full stop in the life he knew, thought he knew. Thanks for letting me know. Gall carried his shoulders, Guts held his head up high. Through the grind of teeth, he unclenched his hand and turned to bid goodbye. And that is that.
And what was the title of that again? Because it just went a bit glitchy when you said the title.
Oh, sorry. Earwigging.
Ah, yeah. Brilliant. That was great. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Craig, do you have another?
Yes, this one's called Intensive Care. The story came from I know not where, but I genuinely was in intensive care. And for the vast majority of my time there, I was a serial killer. I knew I was a serial killer. An orange tag on my wrist confirmed it. And an electronic board at head height on the wall opposite me was clocking up the death tally with every motorway collision. Crash after crash after catastrophic crash. And somewhat bizarrely, one from a fly-by-wire decapitation, as confirmed in latest TV news reports showing a photo of the victim with a remote control plane on an imaginary TV. There had been no high-powered shotgun or blood-stained machete. I had stolen cars and abandoned them in the outside lanes. Multiple multi-car pileups had been my weapon of choice. This had not resulted from an empty fuel tank or a broken down engine, as I had seemed to recall. It was a deliberate act. The fly-by-wire thing must have been voodoo or witchcraft, and I was now a mass murderer. My popularity was at an all-time low. But my presence here did merit being hounded by the paparazzi. They would lurk outside my hospital room window late at night, cameras cocked like pistols, waiting to flash when the blinds twitched. Another patient claimed to be me, a Spartacus moment to save an innocent man, or simply to hog the limelight maybe, as he and his wife got into bed beside me. How bizarre. But bizarre had become the norm here. For some part of this, my life was on the line. I had viral and bacterial meningitis and sepsis. It was a perilous and, for me, an unprecedented situation, and the staff who had saved my life were now trying to kill me. I who was the king of the world. Citizens, salute and bow down before me, your king. I am told I gave a royal wave as I wheeled my hospital bed down a bemused corridor, whilst embarrassed family members yearn for the ground to open up and spare them the need to apologise. The king of the world, no less. A world hired united by being the first person to successfully complete an electronic board game, apparently. Unfortunately, uniting the world had triggered an apocalypse, the cataclysmic end of days. However, this was all in the days before I became a serial killer, so maybe it didn't end so bad after all. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I really don't. There could have been a book or a film made of it, but I never collected the diary they'd kept painstakingly. I regret that, but my wife said it would be too painful, and I went along with it, never quite knowing if it was me or her she was sparing the pain of reliving it. I did attend a psychotherapy session, but I hadn't encountered any nightmare flashbacks, no PTSD, so I declared no further treatment was needed for me, and I promised to send a thank you card and a gift to those who helped save my life, but I never did, and I regret that too. So thank you. I wrote this lousy poem for you. There could have been a film or a book, but I never did bother, and it would have ended up a horror with no victims after all, because it was all just a really bad dream, or the drugs, or both, or my brain injury. And my car was still there. I had had no need to borrow those of others. I still had my job and my work tablet, and my wife never left my bedside, it seemed, and I never really thanked her enough for her intensive care, but maybe this will do. Vivid hallucinations are not something I ever want to encounter again. I never did any of those horrible things I spoke of to some of the nurses, some too vile and grotesque to ever be recounted. And I now know you hadn't blinded me in one eye, and you weren't trying to blind me in the other. And you hadn't removed my power of speech or replaced my manhood with a length of tubing. And I'm glad you never gave me something to end my life when I requested it. A drug overdose, I recall. No, none of that at all. And I now worry about the validity of deathbed confessions throughout history, when I had never done so before, and how easy it could have been to kill a monster, the monster I thought I was when I came out of my coma in intensive care. And I've never been so acutely aware of my own mortality as I am right now, or of how undeserving I am to be alive, when far better men have been much less fortunate and not survived. I should feel glad, but I feel sad and guilty. Maybe it's not so easy to kill the monster after all. That's that one.
Wow, that was
Quite a lot going on there.
yeah, intense. Yeah.
Yeah, all true.
Yeah.
That's what 4 weeks in intensive care does to you.
Goodness
Or
me.
3.5 weeks and a few days on the ward afterwards.
Wow.
Scary.
Yeah.
In the words of Charlie Chuck, you've taken me to a dark place.
Oh goodness, yeah. Roz, have you got something to to follow that?
I've got a couple. I got a silly. Would you like a silly after that, or would you like something a bit more?
I think,
I'm not quite sure
silly
where
would
to
be
go.
good, yeah.
Go darker,
one.
Roz.
Go darker. I'll tell you what, I'll do this because it's shorter, and I'll do the silly one after.
Okay.
This is Hope for Better. Hope for better from people who play politics. Politics should be serious about the state of this government without ideas that are progressive and right for this society. Society is in need of hope for better. And I think maybe that was for you, Craig. I don't know.
A lot of wisdom in that, Roz. Really good. Okay. George.
Yeah, thanks. This sort of follows on a wee bit, sorry, from Nagasaki. I don't anyway. It's actually Armistice Day 2045. Oh, I'll put on a wee plug for the publisher. It's Dreich have got many pamphlets that are coming out. They're a newish publisher in Scotland, but I think they had a prior existence, but recently they've sort of resurrected, and they produce a phenomenal number of pamphlets and publications. One or two of you may already have been in them. I'm not sure, because their stretch is certainly beyond Scotland, which is great, because we're far too parochial at times with what we do, which is why I'm so delighted to be here. Thanks. So I'll stop my little ramble now and say Armistice Day 2045. Wonderful to see the skeletons wheeled in ranks down Whitehall. Now all the flesh is rotted, uniforms hang loose. You can see the broken bodies, path bullets take to the heart, how a bayonet smashes through rib cage, disembowels. No thoughts that it is unseemly to parade the glorious dead. In the massed crowds, the programmed turn of the head, lifelike salutes ensure they did not die, but are with us today as we remember. Here are the veterans of 1914, Resurrected this year, first time in over a century, these bones have moved. You can see they have aged. At the rear come the wagons, loaded with the unidentified, covering flags below give glimpses of the odd foot. Dismembered hand met with respect and bowed heads. And the military bands play on and on. Thanks.
Thank you very much, George. Yeah, that was a powerful piece as well. It conjured up very powerful images. Yeah, makes you wonder about all the memorials. Was it they were marking 100 years of the armistice of the First World War a couple of years ago, weren't they? And it Danny Boyle was doing this. Was it the sand sculptures and things Danny Boyle was involved in? He was involved in one of these projects to mark it anyway. And he thought, would 100 years be that? You'd stop after 100 years. And then they did this big project for 100 years, and he thought, no, you can't stop there. You keep remembering. It's part of the process, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not against the remembering. I'm just sort of against the glorification.
Yeah.
I'm against and it was so moving this year, and you were thinking, there's so many of these people who will not be alive in another year or another couple of years' time. Are we going to keep trundling them out? Will we eventually get to this stage? I don't think we should forget, but I'm not very keen on the fact that if in effect it's the military that remind us of what happened. I would rather that we think on the families and the mothers. And I mean, I knew a woman whose fiance was killed in the First World War, and she effectively was a widow for the rest of her life. I met her when she was in her 80s. And, she had the picture of her fiance on the mantelpiece. And that's the, the thing that strikes you about it. Sorry. Yeah.
There's George, I forget who it was. I remember reading some thinkers. It's not a new idea. Years ago, who talked about the way we remember being significant, and as you say, the glory and the honor and the codes that are attached to our remembering perpetuate the allure of conflict, and how if it was seen simply as a job of work, like any other job of work, there would be a lot less attraction to conflict. If you didn't have a chest full of medals, as you wouldn't if you were plumbing a house or baking a bread, then it might be different. We might have a different construct towards it.
It's this idea of glorious dead that bothers me. I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't amazing people. They were amazing. So much of it was amazing. But we sort of read on with no sense of the actual message that I think he was trying to tell everyone.
It was interesting, a news report last night about interviewing some soldiers from the Afghan conflict, kind of coming back and reflecting and saying, it really wasn't worth it at all. And that, we repeat ourselves, don't we? We have one generation killing another on their own behalf very often.
There seems little point remembering it if we're not actually going to learn from it. To remember it is how can we forget it when wars still continue and conflict is still out there, and dredging up blitz spirit to justify xenophobia. We learn nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying however many people we are, but we as a species, we learn nothing. So the remembrance is very nice to get your coat out the cupboard and brush it down and wear a hat and all that. But if that's all it is, then don't pretend,
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. That's a big can of worms you opened up there, George. But important. It's yeah, that's good. Okay,
Art is meant to be challenging.
can be. Over to you, Tom. Have you got another one for us?
Yes, I have. So think of a gear change from about 27th gear to gear 1, from World War Remembrance to Sweet Peas. So I'm a big fan of sweet peas. So this is my latest cuttings from I just adore sweet peas. And this year it's been a very good year for me growing sweet peas. So I thought I'd try and encapsulate in 8 lines sweet peas. So this poem, therefore, is called Sweet Peas. The sugariest perfume, candy floss sweet, licorice all sorts butterflies, colourfully neat, inhalation overload, nostrils replete, the hint of hallelujah, a choir complete. Thank you.
That was really lovely. Yeah. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Cool. Okay, Mark, what have you got for us?
I've actually I keep getting attacked by a fly. Well, there might be more than one. I can't distinguish them. My eye's not trained to do that. So I'm not having a sudden bout of Tourette's. It's just actually, it's like an eager puppy that wants to play. I used to think that flies, the way that they badger you, this is unrelated to what I'm going to read. I used to think that badgers, when they badger you, flies when they badger you were sort of benign dead relatives that want to get back in touch. But then none of my relatives were Buddhists that I am aware of. So to be reincarnated as a fly, presumably, I've always thought, like a Manchester City fan, that wouldn't distinguish you as having been a bad Buddhist in a previous life. And you've reincarnated as this lower life form. I'll shut up now. Kevin, you in your first reading, you spoke about retirement, and this is, I guess, a sort of a variation on that. It's called Bored in the Waiting Room. I'm not retired yet, but I'm halfway there. Get off me. A plague of flies on your eyes. Bored in the waiting room. It takes a lot of patience to grow old, although it's easier than anyone thinks. Passing through the boredom one day, counting liver spots and listing a bunch of new ailments, fretting over a rheumatic knuckle, I became saturated with my own experience of life and thinking, what a blessing, now half of it seems to have been forgotten. This room seems familiar, it smells familiar. All the things I deserve, the bodies I'm sure are owed my hands, the expensive shirt to caress my collar as my tongue turns Pomerelle rouge. These things are denied me now. However, at least I have plenty of time to think on it, sitting here, aching and dribbling a bit in this waiting room.
Yeah, really good. There's a kind of connection to other pieces that's happening tonight. It's the magic. Thank you very much. Susan, do you have another one for us, Susan?
Yeah, I killed a fly earlier tonight. It was one of those feather-footed ones which just.
That was my Uncle
you.
Rodney.
Oh, sorry. He had to go. He was a pest. And like you, I don't mind if they're in the house. It's okay. But the fact that they come kind of like around you, just like, be told. Just learn. I don't want you. If I bat you away, it means I don't want you near me. So he had to go, and he was resting on James's leg. And so I crept my hand really slowly and smacked James on the leg and killed the fly, which was brilliant. And James, and it was there squashed on his leg as evidence that I wasn't just hitting James for the sake of it. So I am the Karate Kid. What can I say? Right, that's not the poem. This is something I'm going to be doing in. Oh, now I should know. I think it's in September. It's the Moss Huts project, which is coming out of Dove Cottage, but the Moss Hut itself is going to travel around. And so I'm going to be leading a workshop. So please do drop by. So this is a little thing I created to just explain something about the Moss Huts on the publicity. But you can ask me about it at some other time if you wish to know more about it. So, a nest, a place to rest, a cradle, a shield, where we can yield into our thoughts, our deepest fears, shed tears and sort and find our dreams caught by nature in its purity. Inspiration from creation and cessation of the outside world. Out of our rut we are unfurled, our words uncurled in our own moss hut.
Yeah, I've been to see that moss hut. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's a really gorgeous wooden creation.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. So that's going to be a kind of touring structure where there's going to be some workshops happening, not just writing workshops, but other like craft workshops. So, you know, come along, do some felting and some jelly printing and things like that, and vinyl cutting and stuff, and writing as well. Yeah, if I ever see the promos, I'll try and put them somewhere, like SpeakEasy Facebook thing. Yeah, but it's a great thing.
What date is that, Susan? Do you know, or is it across a series of dates?
I do know. I do have it, but it's not committed to memory. Let me just have a look. So the writing workshop will be on the 7th of September, and then there'll be another craft workshop on the 8th, and then there'll be another one on the 15th.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the Moss Hut started off as a thing that they went to the Shetlands and saw these peasants in their moss, and it was kind of like grasses and things that they were very simple structures, and they went, oh, wouldn't it be fabulous if we had such a thing that we could be creative in? Oh, let's go home and create a peasant's thing in the garden. It's like a man cave or something, you know, and the equivalent for your sort of slightly wealthy, independently wealthy writers to go and clasp one's hand to one's forehead and be creative in. So I shouldn't really do it down, should I? Because you know it's going to be fabulous. The modern moss hut is a lovely thing that someone's made. It's like a geodesic dome. It's great. So come along to the workshops and throw yourself against the chaise along and be creative.
Cool, sounds good. We'll look out for that. Okay, thank you, Susan. Finola, have you got another one for us? Oh, you're on mute. Hang on.
I thought I would look out something on an insect theme because we've had you swatting the fly and that lovely image about the butterflies with the sweet peas. So at the moment, for what, the second or third or fourth year running, I have moths. And I'm actually going to start talking about them as if they're pets, right? So this is inviting in the moths. I am ragged, have many tears, some neat, almost healed, others rag tattered, mist-spent edges and spaces whisper betrayal, lies. Tasty silks, cashmeres, damasks scent my wardrobe. Moss, cinnamon, mint, beetroot. Do you chew colour? Your curious antennae tremble, sniff out luxury for egg-shelled mouths. Yearning unravels. My damage is done already, beyond repair, some say. Welcome. Ha.
Thank you very much. It's good to hear some positive insect pieces, other than this fly slaughtering that's been going on. People go, "Oh, it wouldn't hurt a fly." Now we know who would.
That's right. To be honest, the truth of it is that my walls are smeared with marks, and about once a week, I take a baby wipe hand cleaner and I clean all the walls, because death does not become me, in the house. So yeah, be spattered. So I thought I would just say, do you know what? Come in.
I've never been on a poetry-themed Zoom meeting with so many fly ninjas in my life.
It puts a whole new
Experience
scene
for
of
me.
Lady Macbeth out damn spot.
That's right.
It's very effective to drown them with a spritzer, like a cleaner thing that you
I bet
spray
it would
the
soak my walls. I kill at least.
Yeah, you spritz it and drown them. They fall to the ground. You can squash them, and then you all just give a wipe down with the cleaner. You see, it's perfect.
What about those electrified tennis rackets you can get? What's
No,
your
they
opinion
don't
on
fly
that?
about. They're mostly just on the walls and in the carpets and stuff. But I mean, we're talking about 30 or 40 a day. It's more systematic just to kill them.
Is this flies or moths?
Moths.
I was going to say flies. We've got a dead body in there or something.
No, moths. Just moths.
Okay.
Just moths. If you're quiet, you can hear them chewing your valuables.
Can you?
Yeah, well.
I don't believe that for a second.
Do you?
I want it to be true. It is
I've got
true.
an ex-wife
It's
like
true.
that.
I believe her.
Mark, I've suddenly got a Blackadder moment about the people running across the trenches with electrified tennis rackets trying to swat Germans.
Or swat the bullets back, George.
What we like to do is get a big cardboard box, coat the inside with PVA glue and catch kittens.
Oh God. It's an interesting thing that children that harm kittens and stuff like that, boys particularly, generally end up with a pretty bad violence record for the rest of their life. And later on in life, quite often chase it back and see that they've tortured kittens as a child. So your name is noted, Mark.
The signs were there.
Yeah,
the signs were there.
Yeah, when you grow up, Mark, we'll know
work,
why.
We've got less than a minute before we have to sign back in. Yeah, I don't know if I get this story in time. During the hot weather a couple of weeks ago, I had my window wide open one night, and I was writing about midnight. I had the light on. I looked up. There was about 70 or 80 midges all on the ceiling. My room was infested with midges. I had to vacate the room. That was a nice story, wasn't it? That was a good story.
So these midges.
Yeah, these midges.
You're the worst midge storyteller I've ever encountered, Phil.
I know. Well,
Not your forte. I think you should maybe go on to like other vertebrae or something.
I was going to do a whole collection about me and my midge incidents.
Midges, midge. That's a great word, isn't it? Midge.
Midge.
In Glasgow, we have the word minging, which means something that's pretty disgusting.
Yeah,
so it gives you some really nice alliteration. Hey, midges are pure minging.
Yeah, we've adopted that in
Can't beat
colour.
it.
I can't cope with Scottish midges. I react really badly to them. So within
Everybody
seconds,
does. We all do.
Yeah.
it makes me wonder, how can you live in Scotland when the midge season's on? Because they're
all depends-
absolutely voracious.
Yeah, but it depends where you live. Some
Well, yeah, I
places
know that, but it's like people live where they are. How can they do it?
Depends how much
people
single
live in
malt
London.
you
How
use.
can they do that? You know?
I mean, tend not to have folk gnawing on you generally in London.
Except capitalism. You know?
Like budgerigars, midges tend to have just a large enough brain to be vindictive, I find.
See, you're personalising it. You know, you're in their space. Got to look at it from the midge's point of view.
Not when they're in. Well,
I'll
not
try
when
and
in
do
my
that in
room. They're not. That's
But
my-
we could have a symbiotic, kind of, as long as we're not trying to drive them out, they can exist. I can exist, but they attack me. So, yeah, that's
I
just
don't know why
me.
they've not put Priti Patel on the job. She's quite adept at like getting rid of people, isn't she? Maybe not. Go on, Phil, say something profound.
Or facile.
Oh, it's a fine line. isn't it?
Profoundly facile.
Yeah, it's always like this. That's why we're desperate to go back to real life.
You're spoiling us with your curtains tonight, Phil.
Oh, I know. That'll be why they all flew in. They're like, oh, these are
That's why I
huge
come.
flowers. Psychedelic curtains. All right.
No, I always think I'm having a flashback when I come on here.
Yeah, the magical mystery curtains. Yeah. This is enough stalling, isn't it? Okay. There was a report came out earlier in the week about climate change. The UN published that report, and I think all the countries around the world signed up to saying how desperate the situation is, and we really need to do something about it. It's like, well, great. Maybe you should have published this 20 years ago, or 50, but never mind. But this one's called "I Should Be Doing Something," and it's on this theme. You may have heard it before. Goes like this. I'm sitting here doing nothing when I should be doing something. But I can't do it all. Elsewhere, people are fighting. We're hating, arguing, negating our responsibilities, breaking our promises, breaking people's hearts, robbing people of their lives. Somewhere, a kiss is stolen. Lovers embrace, that complicated on and off strand of the human race. Traffic lights click through their cycle, red, amber, green. Think how simpler life could have been. Dolphins swimming somewhere in the seas. Snakes slither through jungles, escaping destruction of rainforest and felling of trees. Humankind takes and takes and takes and gives back so very little. And what we return is unhelpful waste. Plastic bags, plastic bottles, plastic. A wonder material, virtually indestructible. Fantastic. When the wars come for control of clean water, will we regret those times when we could have done something and instead did nothing? This world is fragile. This world is yours. This world is mine. This world belongs to the unborn child. This world should be worth bringing a child into. Sometimes I wonder if it is. The future looks a bit screwed up, thanks to human greed, to fulfill that need, to be selfish and wanting. And I'm sitting here, doing nothing, when I should be doing something. Thank you very much. It's
That was great.
Cheers. It's in the Cold Dew Press publication, Poetry for a Purpose, which Susan and I, we got that together last April 2020, wasn't it? Just in time to do an online launch. So maybe at some point we'll do a real life launch as well. But yeah, thank you very much. Val, do you have another one for? You've got one as well. Oh, look. Cool. Val, have you got one for us?
These are just a few lines that just popped into my head when I was sunbathing a few days ago. It's called Summer Daydreaming. I close my eyes on this lovely summer's day, imagining I'm far away on a foreign holiday. A seagull cries as I'm cruising on my yacht, visiting every beauty spot where the weather's always hot. How time flies when there's work to be done, which I haven't yet begun. I'd rather daydream in the sun. That's
Fantastic. Really good. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's much nicer to daydream in the sun than do work. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Jeanette, do you have another one for us?
Yeah, I've got a little haiku nostalgia, haiku seniru type thing. Anyway, it's raising a saucer to blow her coffee, my nana's hand. That's that.
That was lovely. Yeah.
Okay. She always did that. Used to tip some into the saucer to cool it, and then drink it off the sauce, which you couldn't take it anywhere, but that's how she liked it.
Oh, brilliant. But it's those little memories, isn't it? They stick with you. It's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. A lovely moment. Thank you very much. Okay, Craig, do you have another?
No, I think I've depressed you quite enough for one night, so that's me done. Thank you.
We've enjoyed it. It's been good value. Yeah. Okay, Roz, what you got for us? You said there was going to be a silly one, so
Yeah, I got a silly one. This one's for Val. When I can find it again. Right, this is the Last Chance Disco. A family do's probably their last chance. Old folk don't often get the opportunity to dance, so they hit the floor like a dancing queen, quite aware they could look a little obscene. And the kids certainly find it shocking when the gran gets up and starts rocking. She's forgotten she's not some little cutie and jumps right up to shake her booty. Providing that her hips keep working, you know she's going to carry on twerking. With arms a-flailing, it's disco a-go-go, and all the old blokes begin to pogo, intent on proving they're staying alive when Saturday Night Fever causes them to jive. They get the DJ to play soul and funk. They don't want any of that modern junk. So the youngsters all start to leave the floor, and that's just what the oldies were waiting for. They could strut their stuff and move around until, unfortunately, most of them found, as soon as they started to do the hustle, they suddenly seemed to run out of muscle, and thoroughly exhausted, they flop into a chair and spend the rest of the evening there. What was that one?
brilliant. Bravo.
That was
There was
fantastic.
something on the news the other week about in Ibiza, the clubs are filled with middle-aged and older people because the
You
double
should see
jab.
Val go when she's on.
And I've always thought that if you look back at, I remember kind of my grandma and granddad and some Victor Sylvester or something from, Nat King Cole or something would come on, and they'd turn to each other and say, they're singing our song. And in perhaps another 15, 20 years' time, the radio will be switched on, and on will come. They'll turn to each other with a glint in their eye and go, "Oh, Kylie, they're singing our song."
Yeah.
We can take our booty, can't we, Ross?
They'll be there with that dance music going, I don't write them like that anymore. Cool. Where are we up to? George, follow that.
Yeah. Jeanette, you just, when you said about pouring tea into a saucer, I had a great uncle who used to sit with his bonnet on, and you couldn't make this up. He used to pour the tea into a saucer, and then he'd take his bonnet off and waft it over the top to cool the tea down. Anyway, so I had forgotten about that. I just still remember I've got this image of him. I thought, you couldn't make this up. I was fascinated as a child. I was about 3 watching this man who sat with a bonnet on, which was really quite strange. But when you saw him take it off, you realise why, because he wore a flat bonnet because he had a flat head. So it was really quite apt. Anyway, sorry. And this is also, it's about family, this, and it's about relatives and things. This is Message in the Soil for my great-grandfather. Your plough turns over sand and clay to read my future planted in the furrow. I left my words buried where you work to say how much I owe. Did you stop 2 centuries back, run a hand across a sweating brow, stare out over Benakee, imagine a life free of physical toil? You never saw a plane, a car, the vacuous fools we call star. I own my house as Dad did too, and all this we built on you. I should write this in Doric. I hope you understand it is not pride, prevents me from the tongue you knew. I wish I had you here to tell me how. I would travel back the years with pieces made by Dad, wearing clothes Mum sewed, and hope to see you smile. Say, Dod Vacker, welcome home. I shouldn't expect, but I take it you know that a piece is a bit of, is jam and bread, or meat and bread and things like that. Dad wouldn't let me go anywhere without actually having got up about 4 a.m. to make cold sausage sandwiches or fried egg sandwiches or something like that for me to take. So it just struck me, pieces might sound as though it's bits of something, but it was actually sandwich.
Cool. Thank you, George. Okay, Tom's left, but he said he's really enjoyed the evening. Mark, what have you got for us?
I've got to read a new one that was dark, but I thought I did know something gentler. And the first piece I read, The Visit, was my eldest daughter bestowing grandparenthood on me on Sunday, and so I'll finish with her and hope that the other 3 or the other 2 forgive me for indulging just her this week. This is an old poem that was written for when she was small, and we lived in a place called Crawshaw Booth in Rossendale in the East Lancashire hills, the deep river valleys that there are there, and it's a true poem. Crawshaw Booth for my daughter Rise. Here I am in my red check me out shoes. Come and get me. I'm waiting by the bus stop, feet tapping blissful on the grey flagstones. Come and get me. Come and get me. Don't forget me. Custard pies warm in the morning, scoffed from the bag, my woolly fingers not yet ready to hold a whole one. A bonnet covering my ears, so you have to repeat yourself. Shall we go to the caves? I reply with a yellow mouth, my little hand in your bigger hand, climbing the broken lane above Jack's shop. Jack's were the best custard pies I'd ever eaten until I went to Portugal and had nata.
Oh, magic. That's great. We've had lots tonight that have been those little memories, and it's such an inspiring thing, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's all some of us got left.
Oh no, no.
I thought the colours in that were lovely. You said with a yellow mouth, and at the start it was her little red shoes and stuff, and I thought that was really, it became a colour film instead of just a black and white cartoon. It was lovely. Thank you.
I don't believe we dream in black and white.
No.
No. Okay. Susan, do you have another one for us?
Yes, I do. I'll have to put my torch on because I'm sitting in the dark. I have found something about the workshops. It's in Bolton Low Houses Village Hall, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so 7, 8, 9 of September, and then the Wednesday the 15th, 9:30 till 12:30. I will put the poster on the SpeakEasy Facebook page, so if you want to come to any of them, go and have a look and find out, and yeah, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to put my torch on. There we are. So a year ago, when I was camping at Oxenholme, there was an amazing thunderstorm. Can everyone remember it? It was absolutely incredible. And it wasn't just at Oxenholme, it was like the hugest thunderstorm. And it was incredible. Just, it was like a light show. It was like the Jean-Michel Jarre concert or something. Anyway, so I've written something about a storm. It's not a dark and stormy night. I'm not doing the whole campfire thing, but it's just like I'm sitting in the dark and I need to talk to them. Right. The storm lay heavy in the air. People moved slowly, the heat causing torpor and unwillingness. The static electricity buildup caused teeth to tingle and hair to curl. Lying very still in a room with the curtains shut was about bearable. Super saws had stalled out of rotating fans weeks ago due to the hot weather, and freezer sections were out of ice but busy with people leaning over the rims. Arguments brewed, company was unwanted, physical presence shied away from, and a lover's touch became dangerously close to assault. The clouds roiled and rolled in the sky, gathering up smaller clouds into their arms. The whole sky was thick, poised, full of potential. The world waited, as if a breath was being held to bursting. And then the first drop fell.
Yeah, I remember that lightning storm. I think we were all comparing notes about how we'd seen it from right across Cumbria, and there was some, pink sheet lightning and white and yellow and blue and all sorts of. I saw
which was even cited in Wales.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was like a countrywide thing or a worldwide. I don't know, because I don't know how storms work if they're just like in one bit of sky. But it was incredible. And we were in a tent.
Yeah, that's a spectacular way to do storm watching. Yeah, I saw loads of bits of fork lightning all coming down at the same time, and I'd never seen a storm quite like that before. Yeah, it was a few days where it was really thundery and full of lightning. Yeah. Finola.
I have an obscene story about lightning in the Alps, but there's nobody here old enough to be allowed to hear it.
Well, you can't just like tease with that and then not say.
Some of us might have been reincarnated, so we could be very, very old. You
definitely came back as a bad Buddhist then, Susan Cartwright Smith.
What?
You definitely came back as a bad Buddhist.
A bad Buddhist.
Yeah.
You're flattering some of us as well.
Not at all, Finola. Not at all.
Well,
Maybe the screen needs cleaning, but I think, you know, you look astonishing.
We led bad past lives, so we're reincarnated as poets.
That's mostly it, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah. Even the cockroaches are laughing at us.
Yeah. Yeah, those flies are going, yeah, good one, George. That was good.
Right.
Maybe you'll
I
have to
looked
tell us the
out-
story when we meet in real life.
I like how we talk about this as if it isn't real life, you know, like as if we aren't all actually real and are here.
This isn't. This is all rehearsed.
Okay, all right. You didn't tell me that. I should have known. Where's my script, you know?
We're all computer animated, Finola. You're the only real one.
Right, okay. Yeah, yeah. Right. Yes, I do have something to read. Somebody, God, was it somebody? Oh yes, was somebody talking about growing things? Or yeah, I've got a poem about autumn because, in fact, I mean it's still hot and sunny up here, but the kids go back to school tomorrow. So you know when the radio's talking about the summer, we're like that. No, you know, our summer starts in May. So this is a poem about autumn, and it's, you know, it's right. Guzzling autumn. Swirling black on pale sky, geese clamour, check in with pals. They shake glacial frost from tired feathers, firm step these fields, and forget the northern dances of the aurora. This barley gorging is a golden pit stop between summer and fat winter to come on the meres beyond. When I see brambles, memory tangles. I recall mum's jam and crumble, feel the urge to autumn glut, to escape the thorns and time's creeping chill. I yearn for the comfort of chili pans, for laughter and love stirred tight in steamed kitchens, for wine dark mouthfuls staining lips and hearts, for the sweetness of stored treasure. Right. And the geese, a friend posted yesterday that, and she posted a fabulous picture of the geese. The geese are back. I haven't seen them, they haven't reached here yet, but it's exciting. I love it when the geese come, and you can time them, you know, and you just get these huge waves of geese. I think I'm under their flight path, which is just lovely. I love it. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Isn't it a lovely thing when we wait for the signs of the passing of the seasons? And there's so many of them, of course. And as you get older, you learn more. And, and particularly, I mean, you talk about the geese and, you know, the birds we all look out for. And we all have our own special birds. We do that with, you know, the spring for me is lapwings and curlews.
Oh, wonderful.
Where you live, and, you know, and the high summer and the skylark and the kind of the soundtracks to the lives we lead, aren't they? You know, it's a lovely thing. It's been the one of the very few blessings of COVID. Has been noticing of this.
Yes. Sorry, on you.
Oh, sorry. So one of the good things about Facebook is the fact it lets you look back at your 1 year on memory things. And it's amazing how, as you say, that you can set your watch by the geese. Because I'll go out, I'll be taking the boys to school one day, and I hear it's right up high, and you just hear this because it's creaking sound, and you look up, and lo and behold, your Facebook memory has heard the first geese today. You know, and it's it is lovely that these markers still exist, and I really hope that with climate change that they don't. And it's inevitable, but you know, you don't want to lose those points of the year, do you? You know.
And it is. I think it's almost like what you're talking about, Mark. It's almost like training yourself to notice it, not just going, "Oh, that's the geese," but stopping and going, "No, wait a minute, that's the geese." You know, what does that
Yeah.
mean? What does that mean to me? And I've got grandchildren, and so I love it. I love it when I go to their house and they're inside the house and they hear them and they shout, "Geese, Granny!" and they run outside and we stand outside and then we just go in and get on with whatever we were doing before. And I think there's hope for the future. You know?
Yeah.
It's celebrating these moments, isn't it? Yeah. And that's what you say, Susan. Yes. Yeah. Lovely. Yeah.
I mean,
It's like
who's waiting for the February and the Starlings at Gretna?
Oh, yeah. Right.
Oh, get in.
Didn't know. Really? It's our murmurations. Proper murmuration.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And you start waiting early in the afternoon, and then one appears, and another, and a group, and it's this event, an event that's coming, and the birds know this. They know you're waiting. They ham it up for you, and then they go flying.
Beautiful. That's your poem. Write that down. That's lovely.
I read that. How do these birds do this? And they do it by being aware of the bird next to them.
Yeah. So one up and one to
and
the side.
there's a lesson for us all.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good COVID poem, isn't it? Yeah.
Live poetry created before your very ears.
Yeah, it was lovely, lovely.
I'm here from the Zoom.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think we may have come to a natural sort of conclusion there, but this has been really lovely. Give yourselves a round of applause, everyone who read, and everyone who listened.
Yay!
And everybody.
Can I just say quickly a round of applause for Phil for organising all this? I haven't said this the other nights, but it's phenomenal. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, George. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. That's very kind. Well, thank you all for coming along. Yeah, we'll do it. Well, we'll find out whether or not we're going to be meeting in real life in Cockermouth next month, or we'll do it again on Zoom.
You forgot to give special mention to Jeanette for her shortest poems of the evening, and to Susan for her darkest poems of the evening.
Yes. Although tonally, I think Craig might have won the darkest poems of the evening.
Yeah, he did thematically, certainly. But I feel with those shortest poems, Jeanette, I owe you about 20 minutes, really, that I stole from you.
Well, thank
you,
you,
everybody. Run through about 20 more haiku if you want.
Right, it's getting kind of dark in my room as well, simply because I've got the curtains thing. Right, I'm going to go. Thank you very much for letting us come from north of the border, and I hopefully will see you again. I had a little holiday in St. Bees at the start of this year. And I loved walking the cliffs and stuff and totally ignoring all the nuclear shit. And I thought Cockermouth was a lovely town. So you never know. There's a nice Airbnb waiting for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we've got a speakeasy in a couple of weeks as well, so that'll be on Zoom. So we'll see you guys again.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Get home safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.